You like that? Oh, I'm in a good mood now. Oh, it's late, but I'm hyped because we got a big fucking win, baby. Big win. Season turning win. Um just a mm, felt so good to walk out of US Bank Stadium happy for the first time in so long. Um, um 22-17 Vikings win. Um, and this was no fluke. Like that, Vikings played one of the best teams in football, certainly one of the best defenses in football, and we outplayed them, like flat out outplayed them. Um, I don't want to hear anything about they had a couple guys out. I mean, we have literally the best receiver in football out, so I don't want to hear anything about it. Kirk, incredible Kirk game, very good game. I think by the defense, a couple little lapses in there. Um, KOC, I'd been down on him with some of the personnel decisions and play calling and everything. His best game of the year by far. You could argue it's one of maybe his best game as a head coach. Um, Boy, where do we even begin on this one? I thought it was going to be close. I thought the Vikings had a shot in this game for sure, but I didn't expect I did not expect is we really beat them in the trenches because um, they didn't run all over us. I didn't look up how many rushing yards they had. And McCaffrey played, so don't give there's none of this. Oh, who do they have? No, McCaffrey played, and he had a couple big runs, but um, you know, facing facing that defense, our offensive line. I don't know if it's just because Reisner was in there for the first time, but probably wasn't just him. But Kirk didn't get sacked. He got close a couple times, but he didn't get sacked. And you know, our defense did not get run over. We didn't, it wasn't this wasn't the Philly game. That's what I was kind of worried. It was maybe going to be like the Philly game where it would be a close game. We would have a shot, but we couldn't get off the field because we couldn't stop the run. Um, like Brian Flores has figured some shit out with this defense, and of course we did this without Davenport. He's out. You know, we weren't. It wasn't like a dominating performance by the defense, um, but it was very good. And going forward, like this is the stuff that can can make you a great team going forward. You know, oh man, what a game. And I'd resigned myself to like so many things. There were some things that obviously had unusually gone our way in this game, but at the end there, towards the end, Joseph misses the field goal. You're like, I know exactly what's going to happen because it's the season from hell, but we crawled out of hell. We have escaped. We have escaped hell. Um, and you know, obviously with the, I'll just go back to the beginning of the game. Okay, first, what was it? It wasn't the first play. It was like, what was first drive? I don't know. Here we get another goddamn turnover, another first drive turnover. How is it possible that this continues to happen? You know, I mean, this was a weird one. Addison gets the ball just pulled away from him, but then we got one. But then we get the fumble. Like it's like, okay, we just turned this off. It's gonna be 7-0 to 49ers, and we're gonna be playing from behind the whole fucking game. But no, we get the fumble. We get the fumble like inside the red zone, even. Like that was huge. And then what I loved is, we had the ball. I forget what. Um, I think we got it at about the 11-yard line. 89-yard drive, like back, bouncing back from the early jumper. 89-yard drive on that defense. Running it pretty. You know, actually, we didn't run it that much. I mean, we didn't run the ball that great in the game, but a lot of really effective short passes. Hawkinson, T.J. Hawkinson, he was back. He was back in a big way. I saw he got like 11 catches for like 80 or 90 yards, something like that. And a couple of big ones, and he had a couple of big ones on that drive. And then fabulous pass, Kirk to Addison, for the touchdown, and great answer. You know, and then we get another little break because 49ers go back down the field. They miss a field goal. Their kicker, who missed the game winner last week, he misses the field goal, and it's like, okay, this is the we got some things going our way here, because of course opposing kickers missing against the Vikings, that hardly ever happens, and this will come up later in the game. Um, and we kept, we were really moving the ball, and again, it mostly wasn't on the ground. Although Madison had a couple runs, Akers had a couple runs, um, but mostly it was not a rushing situation. We get, the offense. You can't really complain that much about the offense when you put this kind of, I forget what their total yardage was. It was deep into the 400s, but we still had these issues in the red zone. We had a couple goal to goes. The first one just missed. Kirk just missed Addison for another touchdown. Well, we get the field goal, go up 10-0. Um, but you don't want to always settle for field goals and shit. Um, and then later we had a first and goal at the 1, and that's later. We'll try to keep this chronologically. So what was that? You know, and then we did give up. They did put together a drive on us. They get a touchdown. I was a little worried there because it's like I knew they were getting the ball to start the third quarter, so it's like, oh God, this game where we've really been in control the whole game, it's going to end up like 10-7 at the half, and they're going to get the ball to start the third quarter. They could take the lead before we even do anything again, and it didn't look like we were going to get much, if anything, out of that very last drive, the second quarter, because we didn't have much time. What helped is they actually scored because they got down there and we were calling our timeouts, but then they scored quickly. They scored like one play too quickly. If they had taken one more play to get that thing in the end zone, we would have had all our timeouts gone, and we wouldn't even have been able to mount a drive. And oh, what a wonderful! It's barely even a drive, but the pass, the biggest play of the game, probably the biggest play of the season, going to be on every Jordan Addison highlight reel for the rest of his career. At that point, barely, we were going to be lucky to even have a shot at a field goal. So yeah, why not chuck a ball down the field a little bit? Looked like it was probably going to be picked. Should have been picked. Addison rips the ball away, and not only did he rip the ball away, as the D-back is falling down and haplessly, Addison just races for the end zone. I couldn't believe it happened. It was an unbelievable play. It's not the most crazy last second of a half touchdown I've seen in that stadium, but it's probably number 2. And I didn't even really care that that Joseph missed the extra point. I mean, I cared because obviously you're a professional fucking kicker. Make your goddamn PATs. But I was like, we just got a miracle. We got a miracle 6. I'm not going to be too mad that we didn't get the miracle 7th as well. Although, Joseph, come on, man, just don't do this to us again. So I mean, we were in a spot where we probably weren't going to score. It was going to be 10-7, and then they're getting the ball to start. Instead, it's 16-7, and we're going off. They're getting cheered going off the field at halftime. I think they've been booed a couple times this year going off at halftime. Um, but then I thought it was also really big in the third quarter. We didn't just like, okay, they're going to go take the first drive then of the third quarter, just go right down and score, and it's going to continue to be a thing. No, we actually got a stop, got the ball back, went down. Then that was the one where we had um, the first and goal. I think that was the drive with that incredible Cam Akers screen pass, where I mean, where he just like could not be tackled. I mean, I didn't even think he was. I barely even thought he was tackled at the end. He was like rolling over on a guy. I thought he was going to get back up and go in the end zone. But then we just couldn't do it. We tried to do the tush push, or as I call it, the ham slam. The Vikings version of the ham slam. We screwed it up twice. We tried to sneak once. It looked like they were offsides, but it didn't work. And then we had like an illegal snap, false start, and push us back. And then we couldn't get in. I was fine kicking the field goal there because it takes it from a one score game to a 2 score game because you're up what 12 at that point or something. I obviously I wanted more, but you know the defense was playing very well, and then they didn't play very well for one series. They just absolutely just took the game off. I think it was 3 plays. They went down and scored a touchdown with some terrible tackling, a couple a wide open receiver or two. It was terrible, and then of course it was getting the 49er fans all energized again, and then there were damn near as many 49er fans there as there were Chiefs fans a couple weeks ago. It's crazy. I guess the red teams travel. I don't know. I can see it with the Chiefs because that's fairly close by. You can just it's like an 8-hour drive. 49er fans they gotta hop a plane. They sure turned out, but glad we sent them home unhappy. But then even after that, like we didn't like so often it's like, oh, here's where the Vikings then they'll go 3-and-out and they'll just, but we didn't go 3-and-out. We kept going. We kept at it. Um, you know, it wasn't an unbelievable drive, but we got in range. And hey, Joseph, I was like this. I literally was not even looking at the field because I'm like, I can't trust this guy. But it was like a 50+ yarder, and he split the upright. So it's back to 8. That's not feeling comfortable about it, but again, defense is playing well for the most part, and they kept playing pretty well because there really was never a real run by the 49ers in the fourth quarter. Like they got naturally, it's not a Vikings game unless an opposing kicker hits a very very long field goal. They got a long field goal. The guy missed it earlier. You know, their maligned kicker maybe. He splits the upright on a 50 something yarder. Um, and then it's tense time again, and then you know we had a drive. It was kind of stalled out. I didn't like. It was like probably the one big mistake by KOC in this game. I didn't like that they punted. Um, because it was like, I mean, it's kind of in no man's land, but it was like 4th down and fairly short, and it was like the 42-yard line, and yeah, you're hoping your punter can you know coffin corner the thing and pin them deep, but of course it didn't work, and I think in like 2 plays or something they were right back to where you to where you had punted from. It always seems to work out that way. Um, but then we get Cam Bynum movie. He's coming in and you know, granted these were not unbelievable plays to get interceptions. That the second one was a pretty good play. The first one, you know, um, um, Purdy just really sailed it, and then, hey, Bynum's in the right place at the right time. That's what we need. Um, you know, and then the Vikings are actually putting together a drive with some first downs, and it's like, okay, maybe this will be salted away very, very calmly. We won't have to deal with any sort of like last second drive by the 49ers. Then again, they were kind of in this no man's land. Like, they got into third and long, and they're kind of in field goal range, but it's like they've, 49ers don't have any timeouts left. So it's like, I was actually kind of okay with them running it there because it's like, well, maybe you break a run. Because if you throw a pass and it's incomplete, well, then you're really screwing up. But if you run it, you get, you can run it down to, just a little over a minute. Hope you kick the field goal, but of course, Greg Joseph misses the field goal, and then, of course, again, that's when the sinking feeling is in, like, oh, this game that they've led it they've had to lead the entire game. They've outplayed them, and they're gonna blow it right at the end. And it's just like, no, I'm standing there. I'm like, no, this can't happen. As if the season has not been torturous enough, we can't. Where we should have beat the Chiefs and we didn't, and we could have beaten the Eagles and we didn't, and we damn sure should have beat the Chargers and didn't. Like, all these games have just been ripped away from us. But Cam Bynum steps in again. He steps in again and gets the pick. That was the one that was actually a pretty good play. Because they completed a couple passes. They were going to at least have a chance to launch a couple at the end zone. And with our luck, oh god, it was going to be awful. And it felt so great. It just felt so great to get this win. And and again, just an incredible Kirk game. I mean, was it 35 of 45 for like 370? A couple touchdowns, an interception that really wasn't like the one at the end of the first half was more of like an interception, probably the one that he got credited with. But some of these Kirk was threading some needles in this game. I mean, there were some third downs that were really clutch, where he's like hanging in there. There was one where he kind of stepped up in the pocket a little bit and hit. I think that might have been Osborne. He hit for like a big first down. Like there were some really big third down conversions in this game, and he was hitting just about all of them. And there were one or two. There was like a deeper ball to Osborne on like a third down that almost. I'm not even like going to get on Osborne for that. That would have been a tough catch, but he could have had it. I mean, he kind of was falling down with the ball, but they managed to do it. Like, I didn't even know who was going to even be out there by the end of the game, because Addison was out. Addison got hurt for a while. I don't know if he missed that much time, and Hawkinson was hurt twice. But obviously Addison had a big game, and he got back in there later, and he did draw a couple of flags too. There was a little rough shenanigan stuff going on. There was one where I think it was pass to the end zone, where I swear they threw on the flag, and then they were gonna pick up the flag and say no flag, but then they showed it on the scoreboard. It's like, you better not pull this shit. We're the whole 60,000 some people just saw that this was pass interference. But yeah, Addison, big game. This was a big, big prime time coming out party for him. If we can get this Addison, I mean, obviously Addison played very well so far this season, but we can get this Addison once we get JJ back. Oh boy. And then obviously, if we can get this TJ Hawkinson, this is the TJ Hawkinson that you gave the big contract extension to. So I will eat my words. I think I said on Twitter or X this week the T.J. Hawkinson signing was a major mistake. Okay, I'll back off on that because this is what you want from T.J. Hawkinson because he made a couple really tough catches in there too, couple explosive catches, couple of real tough catches in there too. That's what you want, you know. Um, and then Brandon Powell had a couple really important catches in the game. Osborne had a couple, one or two real big ones. You know, Tristan Jackson got a catch in the game. Like they were kind of using everybody. This is what I was kind of hoping to see more last week. Game one without JJ, it's like, okay, well, how you gonna spread the ball around? Well, this is much more what I want to see. Utilizing everybody. Um, Again, they didn't run it very well. They didn't, I think that, yeah, like the first play of the game, Madison ran for like 20 yards. That was basically it for him. You know, Akers wasn't great in this one, but I mean, you could see it. I mean, you really could see it that just the explosiveness that Akers has. You need to use him more. Like that screen that got him down inside the 5. That was just a fantastic play. And again, the offensive line, I kind of scoffed at some of the talk about the offensive line being very good this year. Um, they certainly were in this game because you were facing one of the best defenses, and certainly one of the better defensive fronts in football. And this has been a matchup. This has been a matchup that when we've played the 49ers in recent years has killed us. Like they've absolutely manhandled us, but not tonight. And you have to assume Reisner played very well because I think everybody played really well. And boy, if you could be really tough in the trench, like that's quarterback matters. But boy, if you got your lines going good, boy, you can take on just about anybody. Um, and again, the defense was really good. I didn't even think Brock Purdy played that poorly. Obviously for sure the one interception was a really bad throw. The last one, I mean, obviously in that case, in those situations, you're scrambling to do whatever because it's like you got to try something. But I honestly didn't think Brock Purdy looked that bad in this game. I think we did get a sack or two on him. I think Hunter might have got one. And there was that one play. Yeah, in fact, that was the play where, for a moment, we thought we had a fumble. They were doing a big celebration. I was like, why don't you hold off on the celebration until we know that it's actually a turnover? Because I wasn't quite sure that it was, and it turned out it wasn't. But yeah, I mean, like obviously you had to worry about George Kittle. I didn't think Kittle got a couple passes, but I don't think he had he didn't have a sort of a monster game. So they did a pretty good job on him. McCaffrey got loose a couple times, but I mean, these are really good players. They're gonna occasionally do something on you. So I'm not even that, and it's not even like upset about it. But they did good. Brian Flores has got this defense going now, at least to the point where they can be functional. Like, because I mean they were even pretty decent against the Chiefs. Like we haven't had a bad game from this defense really since probably the Philly game. Um, I mean they gave up some stuff to the Chargers, but I mean, at least if nothing else, at least since that game, at least since the Charger game, like this defense has gotten noticeably better, and they're making plays. They're getting some stops. They're when they have a chance to make a play, they're doing something. They're not great. But this is kind of what I was hoping for, that this defense could be. Just functional. Occasionally making some plays, and let the offense lead the day. And I can't. This was such a great Kirk game. I didn't like that. It was unbelievable. This was. I know it's not a playoff game, and everyone, unless Kirk Cousins is holding a Lombardi trophy, there is a certain faction of people who are never going to give him credit for anything. but he's a hell of a goddamn quarterback. And this was one of his best games. This I haven't tried to go through my head and rank the best games that Kirk's played in a Viking uniform. I thought he's had one or two, like I think last week was maybe one of his worst games for his Viking. This was one of his best. This was absolutely one of his best games as a Viking. It was a fantastic game. I just can't, you know some of these throws that he was making in this game were unbelievable. Like it's just amazing. And of course, he did it without JJ. Man, he managed to do this without even people are like, oh, Kirk is nothing without Justin Jefferson. Well, do you really want to keep trying to make that argument, you fucking idiots? Um, it was an incredible game by him. He's not the reason that they won, but boy, he'd get my game ball, that's for sure. Um, just an awesome game. It felt so good to walk out of the US Bank Stadium happy. Everybody walking out, everyone doing skull chant, everybody cheering, everybody's happy. It's been so miserable walking out of that stadium the last 3 times this year, and then back in the playoff game. It's like, is this ever gonna be happy again? It was tonight. Awesome game. And now it gets interesting because the tank Nazis. Oh, I haven't even mentioned them yet. I bet they had a wonderful. I hope they had just a miserable night, because guess what? The tank, which was never on, is completely off now. There's going to be no tanking. There's no that they're not going to dump all the players in trades. It's not going to happen, because guess what? We are now just, I believe, a half game back of the wild card at the moment. We're just 2 games back in the NFC North, and boy, the schedule is going to get a lot easier now. And now I know it's hard to just be like, oh, well, we beat the 49ers, so now we're gonna Packers, Saints, Falcons, Broncos, Bears again in there. We're gonna beat all these teams. Teams don't have long win streak. It's very hard to keep a win streak going in the NFL. We're probably not going to win all of these games. I hope we do. But they have a real chance now to go on a run and really make something very, very cool of this season that was the season from hell just a handful of hours ago. Well, things can change. Things can change that fast. And even as that's the case, it's like, God, if we had just pulled out like one of these other games, or a couple of these other games, we'd be sitting in such a great place. We would literally, if we had just like held on to a pass against the Chargers in the end zone, and maybe, you know, maybe just not had a pass intercepted at the goal line against Tampa Bay. Like, if you just had those two, like, give us those 2 games. Oh my God, we're thinking not just division, but high seeds. Like, it was gonna be, and we can't look back. We can't get those wins back. But this was a win. This was one now that was kind of a presumed loss, and we stole a win that was considered to be a loss. So we got one back. And we're just 3-4. No one's throwing a parade for 3-4. And all the good, happy vibes are going to get wiped away if we go in 6 days to Lambeau and lay an egg against Jordan Love. But this is an ascending team. And the 2 wins before this were very ugly. I mean, this wasn't like the greatest, win in ever in terms of how it looked, but it's like, you know, given the opponent, this was a huge win. This is one of the best. This is definitely one of the best wins of the KOC era. This was a win. Not, this wasn't as good as the Buffalo game last year, but it's probably second best win that they've had. I mean, we had the biggest comeback in the history of the NFL. I guess you got to put that maybe ahead of it too. But um, this could be now. This could be not just a season-saving win because it can put all the trade talk and all that shit. Put this to bed, but it can springboard you maybe and really go on a run. And because this, I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, the 49ers, they're not actually any good. No, they actually are very good. And they certainly have a very good defense. And our QB1 just put damn near 400 yards on them. It's astonishing that people still don't get it that Kirk is really good. It's like, yeah, he's had a couple of clunkers this year, but he's mostly played very well. I'll tell you this: if we decide to move on from Kirk after the season, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Kirk goes and plays for the 49ers next year because they'll give him money. You put Kirk Cousins with that team, oh my god. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that actually is how it went, but he's ours now. But all right, I'm getting tired, and I've been going for over 30 minutes. I could go longer. I mean, this is a fun one to bask in. This was such a fun win, huge win, and just a. I hope that we're looking back in a couple months as like that's the game that really turned this season around and got us going and got us on a run to the playoffs, maybe to another division title, and perhaps beyond. We should be buyers at the trade deadline. You know what? let's go make trades and get somebody in here. Let's go get another defensive lineman or something. But yeah, this. And KOC said, I heard a little bit of the post game thing. It's like they got to immediately get ready for Green Bay. Like don't follow this up with a dud. Because we've kicked away games already. We can't kick away any more games. We got to get going. And I think Detroit's got the Raiders at home next week, so they're probably going to win. So you want to keep pace because I could be wrong about this. The Vikings might hold the NFC North title in their hands. They control their own destiny. That would be if they beat the Lions twice. Although we don't get the Lions for the first time until Christmas Eve, so that's still a long ways off. But this is the game. I think that this is going to be a season where we're competing. I don't think they were ever going to tank, but there's no doubt about it that they're in this and they're going to be in it. And wild card contention at the very least, because they're already just the last wild card is a 3-3. I think it's Tampa Bay, and hell, that could be us, but we kicked away the game in week 1. But it's no longer about the games we kicked away. It's about the games we won. This game, I'm going to stop talking because I got to go to bed, man. I'm tired. I'm a little tired. I'm still a little hyped, but I'm tired too. So, Vikings fans, this was an awesome one. And tank Nazis, enjoy your suffering. And yeah, let's keep this thing going. Let's go to Green Bay. Let's get to 500 and then just go from there. Keep winning all the way, man. Vikings gossip.